Hi guys, and welcome to the first episode of Texas Skiff. I hope you have enjoyed the Texas Flycaster channel for all these years, or maybe you're a new subscriber. I decided about a little more than 2 years ago I was going to start a website called www.texasskiff.com, but about that time when I went to pick up my boat in July of 2015, I was also diagnosed with cancer. So it's one of those things where it was a very large setback, and I kind of regrouped and decided maybe to combine, for now, information about skiffs in Texas. I'm very unique in the fact that I use a saltwater skiff in freshwater lakes to fly fish. And I get a lot of looks at the boat ramp and a lot of compliments as well about the boat and how clean and simply it's laid out. In the introduction piece you probably watched, I kind of went over all the factoids about the skiff that I have. But today we're going to concentrate in this very first episode of Texas Skiff on modifications. And this one of the things you'll run into really quickly when you get a skiff or even a kayak, which is kind of where my knowledge came from, that I gleaned and molded onto the life on skiff, is mounts that you use, and you usually pick a system to use all along your boat. If you're smart, you do, to unify all the mounts so that everything is interchangeable and workable from that perspective. Well, there's two criteria for me when it comes to choosing mounts, and number one is removability. In other words, if you can put something on and take it off. And number two is strength. And for those two things alone, I decided to go with the Ram mount system, and I haven't been disappointed, not once. Ram mounts don't give out, they hold really well, and they have just a plethora of choices of mounting items that you can use. However, the one thing they don't have, and the one thing I want to show you today most importantly, is a way to get around the high expense. I'm not a trust funder, I'm not rich, so I don't get to go buy the T-bore pole mount, the pole holder for holding my pole when I'm pulling the skiff. I had to come up with something a little more reasonable, reusable, removable, and that's when I kind of started toying around with the Ram mount system, combined with another system I use in my photography, which is Manfrotto. Now you'll recognize, if you're a photographer, you recognize this is typical. I've got half a dozen of these around for mounting stuff. The Manfrotto, one thing about it is it will rust. So this is not the best perhaps for saltwater situations. If you're in saltwater, you need to take really good care of Manfrotto. It will rust out. I'm just telling you right now. Ram has some things to mount onto aluminum like I have, the pipe aluminum, but they seem slower and just a little, I'm just not super duper happy with those. So I want to try Manfrotto because I can also mount cameras, take the ball off, and do a lot of other things. I mean, I can do a whole lot of other things. But let me show you this because it's pretty cool. What I found was your key thing to remember is 1/4 20, and 1/4 20 is the actual size of the threads, typical of photography. And if you can get all your joints to line up with that, as far as your joiners and things with nuts or bolts already inside the Ram balls, you're going to be very happy. You're going to be really happy. So what I have here is a 1/4 20 1-inch ball mount, and I found this in a kayak store. And what this is a kayak. They come in pairs. It's a kayak paddle holder, and what it does is just locks in just like that. Drop my nut just like that, and holds a kayak paddle. Well, it also fits perfectly a stiffy push pole, which is what I have. Now this will be mounted on the back of the skiff up near the poling platform, and the great thing about it is once you got it on there, it's almost infinitely adjustable. The great thing about ram is the articulation. It's very important that it articulates. Anything you have on your boat should be able to articulate any way you want it. If it doesn't, don't put it on. So here's what we've got. We've got this just as a plastic, so it's not anything heavy. All the parts on the ram are stainless, so they won't rust. We know that. So what'll happen is, wow, that's already tight. This will go on the aluminum pipe that makes up the polling platform. And you can also mount a camera right there in this hole right here. That's Manfrotto and their capabilities. Mount that right there. Tighten all this down. And then when you have to get off to help someone land a fish or do something different, you just snap that in just like that and it's on. And what you don't want is things to go on too tight and too strong to hold a pole, because what it'll do is it'll jam up the pole on a weed or something. It's better that the pole fall out of the holder or fall away from the boat. It floats. Fall away from the boat, and that way you can just go back and get it rather than have it bind up on something and break your pole. I learned a lot about skiffs the hard way, and one thing was I broke my pole pretty quickly just by doing something stupid. So anyway, I know how to fix a stiffy push pole if you ever want to know about that. So that's my first episode. I hope you like this. You know, there's more mounts here, of course, to give you an idea. I have created this. I wanted to keep these episodes short, but I just can't do it. This is starboard, custom cut by me, and then mounted with a ball mount on here, and that goes on to my standing pole right there, or standing rail where I can stand and hold. I have a boat that has a tiller, so I stand, hold on to the grab rail, and this just mounts right up there. When I'm somewhere unsafe, what I do is I will take this off and put it away, and then all my electronics are stowed. I can stow all this stuff. And if I'm parking in a parking lot down in Port Aransas somewhere and I'm not sure about the safety factor, or anywhere in Galveston, doesn't matter. And take a look at this. I went ahead and mounted a typical kayaking rail on here with stainless steel mounts, of course. Everything stainless that you can possibly do stainless. And this is an adjustable ball that'll move along there. And so what I do is I mount this holds a telephone. Mount this guy. If you don't have the chip in your electronics, mount this guy right here. Go ahead and turn your phone around like this and use Navionics that's in your phone, that phone app for Navionics. Or just to have your phone right there. So that's how that works. So this is all ram mount, everything here you see, and also you can do all kinds of things. I mean, let me show you this real quick. If you don't want to talk to people but you want to listen to music, let's try this. Let's see if I got this set. I may or may not. Well, these new music devices, portable, wireless, also have, some of them, get you one that's got a 1/4-20 thread in there, and you can take that and you can mount it up like this. And then if it was a ball mount, of course you'd just mount everything like that. It's just that easy. I just don't have one on me right now. I've got thousands of pieces, it seems like now. But so I have my music mounted right here and I can listen to music. If I'm up on the polling platform, I just point that up towards me and I've got music. So that's what I do with my mounting system on. And here's another piece right here. You can mount a camera on here and have it mounted up high. There's all kinds of adapters for GoPros and stuff like that Ram makes. All the nuts and bolts are stainless, of course, and even the springs inside these guys are typically of a steel coated with stainless, and so it all is very, very good longevity on this. I think that's all I've got for this episode. Thanks for watching. I just wanted you guys to see kind of what my idea is for laying out the mounts of all kinds on a skiff. Let me grab one other thing while I'm here, because we don't come in here very often. But this is the actual ram version of a mount for mounting on poles. It's pretty expensive, but it's stainless and it won't rust. And so this is what I use back there to mount my control center, my nav. So here's how that looks. Loosen that up, and I always take it off. I don't travel with it on there on the boat when I'm moving, when I'm going to the marina or wherever I'm going traveling. Go ahead and take all the weight off of the mounts that you can possibly take off. That goes for anything on the boat, really. Even I have an extension on my tiller. You want to lay that down and take all the weight off of it. So anyway, that's how that mounts right there. And I can change the angles any way I want on this, on the pole, so that it will angle down or up and be out of the way really nicely. And you can buy longer versions of this. There's a million things you can do with ram mount, but this is just a couple of examples of how I use ram. I will have a list of parts for this specific item right here on the website, www.texasflycaster.com, so that you can put this thing together for your own skiff. I think this is the answer that we haven't been able to find that might at least work for you in most situations. Thanks for watching the Texas Skiff channel. Please subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.